Welcome to Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. Today's episode is pretty much, I would say, something that I needed to have done for a while now, and I know a lot of you are going to say, you're not talking about Earth X. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not talking about Earth X. Every other podcast under the sun is talking about Earth X. You need some diversity in your diet. You need some roughage, to flush out the poo. And also give you your daily vitamins and minerals. And that's what Starting Over Podcast is, your roughage for your heroclix life. I have my awesome King Magical Lord Sidorak, head of Team Juggernaut, Mr. Jamie the Beard, Epic Beard Jordan.
Hello, and welcome to the... Oh, wait, no, we're not doing that one anymore.
We don't do that anymore. For anybody who's newer listener, Jamie and I, we used to co-host The Quarry. So, yeah. He's probably heard me say that phrase like a bazillion times.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever hear any of your other podcasts go and say that hello joke, they're referencing me, and every time I laugh and get a good chuckle out of it. Yep. So yeah, the main reason I'm having Jamie on today is we're going to talk about teams, not like the teams on your nice little play map that you got from Realms Open Championship. No, we're talking about organizations. And Jamie is pretty much leads one of the more successful organizations in terms of population. I would say the only other group that I think eclipses all of us in size is Clixman.
Yes, most definitely, yeah.
Yeah. But I think that Jamie has a good understanding of what it takes to run a team. And of course, with me running Phoenix Nest, we can have some good insights. And Jamie knows, throughout the years, he and I have had conversation about, what do we do for the future of both of our groups. And so I decided, this is a good time for us to sort of put that out there and sort of update, what it takes to run a team, because a lot of things have changed. So let's start off real quick, Jamie. Give us a brief history of Team Juggernaut.
Well, it started pretty much as just our local play group. I mean, the size has kind of waxed and waned over the years, but right around the time Rock was getting started, myself, Richard McBain, and DJ Riggin all went to Tulsa for the very first Tulsa Rock. You were there, Dark Logos.
Yes.
And it was, we really enjoyed it. We had a good time. It was my first foray into, actual competitive cliques. And Tulsa was running events every 2 to 3 months back then. And we were there for every one of them. And eventually, I'm starting to see these guys wearing team shirts. And I'm like, we're basically already a team anyway. So, why not just get our own shirts and make our own team, And that's basically what we did. It started out, like I said, mainly just me and DJ were kind of the main two that were traveling at first. And we would slowly, add on more actual members. It is, I will say this, running a team, especially a large team, is it's not easy to do, for one person to do. So we kind of have what we call the Juggernaut Prime. It's we have our Prime members. Right now it consists of 5 people, and we're kind of the governing body, I guess you would say, over the whole team, with me being the head of said governing body.
Yeah.
And basically any big decisions made for the team go through all the 5 Prime members first. It's okay, this is what I'm wanting to do, guys. And I usually bring it up. I say, okay, this is what I'm wanting to do. What do you guys think about it? Or, hey, I'm thinking about, inviting this person to the team. What do y'all think? And we kind of vote on it, and then we bring it to the rest of the team members and say, okay, this is what we've come up with. I want y'all's feedback. But, it is, it's not easy, and I've really been lax in my leadership abilities lately. I do have a kid now, and that he takes up 99% of my time. When I'm not at work,
Mm-hmm.
so have to. So I have been relegating a lot of things to the other prime members as of late. So.
Yeah, I know that with even with my nephew, and I know
Hmm.
he's not my kid, but
Hmm.
even with my nephew and making time for him, it's just like, oh yeah, we got stuff. Okay, it's
Yeah.
like who's talking to who? I don't know. All right, let's go. Um, but yeah, I think it's interesting that like each team has its own structure,
Yeah.
and I know for Phoenix Nest we have something similar. I have I would call my triad, and then there's me, and then there's the triad, and then they make decisions. The triad somewhat rotates between four people, but it's primarily like Wes Griffin, KJ, PJ, and yeah, Wes Griffin, KJ, PJ, and then
Yeah.
sometimes it may bounce over to another member. But those are the main ones that if if it comes down to something that needs to be brought up, then I'll talk to them first and then go
Hmm.
from there. But most of the time, whenever I have an idea or I say like I think we need to handle this, most people will agree. I think for like individual things, I just started assigning it to people to handle, just based
Hmm.
off of like their skill set and their desire to handle it. So like
Right.
most of our, I would say our communication stuff is handled by Lucas now.
Hmm.
So he just goes in there and he's like, everybody, we're on Discord now. I got all the Discord stuff set up. So it works out that
Hmm.
way. I think in for me in particular, having folks that have primary roles has been one of the key elements that I've had. Um, like, for example, I have myself. I do almost everything. I'll train with you. I practice with you. I'll team build with you.
Hmm.
But then I also have another guy like Tom. He is primarily there to help you with team building and to assist you in team building. That's
Hmm.
he has no other really role other than that. I have Lucas. If you want to practice with and you want to do team building, you can do those two things with him, or even theory craft a little bit. So like assigning like little roles or knowing what people's specialties are really important. If I really want to spar with people, I'll go and practice with KJ, for
Hmm.
example. So I know like roles makes things easier because it gives people a lane to operate, and so when new people come in, they know what everybody is sort of about,
Right.
and that makes things a lot easier. So I would tell anybody like with your governing body and your structure, it if you're at three people, you don't need a governing body and a structure. You just need a warrior chief, someone
Yeah.
that tells everyone tin hut and get on the bus. That's
Yeah.
that's it. And I know some people will be like, "We're independent people and we're adults." I'm like, no, no, that's not how it works. It's not
Hmm.
how it works. You need to know like who's getting on the bus, when, and where. There's always the mom or the dad person on in every group. It's necessary.
Oh
When
yeah.
you start getting to about 6 to 7 people, I would say you need a loose structure. But once you hit 10, you definitely need a concrete structure of leadership of who everybody knows who to talk to, and everybody knows who's handling the money, because that's something that I would say as groups get bigger, money is involved, like
Hmm.
no doubt money is involved. So let's talk about that. So like how do y'all handle money things, especially about trips and whatnot?
Well, usually if like for instance Rocktober, I handled like the room reservation stuff like that. I just pay for everything up front and just say, okay, this is what you guys owe me. And we have a couple other guys that are you know in similar roles. Like I said, some of the other Prime members. Um, but Richard McBain in general, he's a big help. I mean, he kind of has that fatherly role as well. Like, hey guys, we need to be doing this, this time, this day. I mean, Richard's pretty much taken over setting up our trip. We're going to Gen Con this year. And he's kind of taken over, heading up, getting our room for that. And hey guys, you need to badges go on sale this day. You need to get your badge and yada yada yada. So but as far as money goes, I mean, it's pretty much left up to the individual. Like things like shirts and stuff, I usually buy, once again, I buy those up front. When I give you your shirt, you give me the money, you know. But that's really about it when it comes to money. I mean, it's just, if there's a big purchase need to be made, me or someone will make that purchase, and then the rest of the people just pay you back.
Yeah, I know for us in particular,
Hmm.
like if we talk about shirts because everybody loves talking about shirts. Uh, I see you, Johnny Alpha. Anyway, so with shirts in particular, I I get our order ahead of time. Like I tell everybody like who's interested in the shirt, but
Hmm.
I will also like pay for like the art fee up front.
Hmm.
So I'll be like, here's our art fee is $100. Then I divide the art fee by all the shirts that are ordered. So
Right.
if someone gets an old
Makes
shirt
sense.
or a new shirt, they're paying for the art fee. So
Right.
that year's art fee is covered by how many shirts are being bought. And I usually buy two,
Hmm.
almost no matter what. Okay, so uh, if I because I know I need to have for where we get our shirts from, I have to have a
Hmm.
minimum order of 10 to get a certain rate.
Right.
So
Right.
if I hit 9, that shirt costs $75 a pop.
Wow.
Okay, and I'm not doing that.
Mm-mm.
I get 10, that sucker floats in between $40 to $50 a pop. It's a lot better.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
better. And I know, and then, some people be like, why is it that expensive? It's the type of dye that they use and the dyeing method.
Right.
That's why it's so expensive. Because you
Hmm.
can get like just a baseball jersey, and it'll be a lot cheaper
Hmm.
than what we get.
Hmm.
Because you could get one of those for like $25 custom, and it can look
Yeah.
nice and have a nice logo and all the other stuff. Um, but anyway, so I get that with the initial order. I'm like, boom, boom, boom. This is how many shirts we have. This divides the art fee by all those shirts, and then everybody that gets a new shirt or an old shirt, uh, they're able to they're covering the art fee for the year. Okay,
Right.
and then when it comes to rooms, I'm in a similar situation that you are, but I also told folks like we're probably going to change this. Is I end up paying for the room up front, and then everybody owes me, and I divide it up. But I
Hmm.
also have to like emphatically say to people, if you are going to book a room, you can't ditch out because that dictates the cost of the room for everybody.
Right.
Okay, and I know a lot of people will say, well, that's unfair. What if emergencies show up and this, that, and the other? I get that. But if a room goes from $150 for a trip and then someone drops out and that room goes up to $200 per person, that
Hmm.
might dictate if somebody else comes or not. And then, even more so, that might dictate if I have two rooms or not. you,
Yeah.
you know, and it's simple things like that because I mean we're grown, we're too old to have 8 people in one room.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, like I can't do that. All right, I'm not 8 years old. This isn't the family reunion. Okay, we're grown. We got money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get our stuff together. Okay, so I'm at that point now where I'm like, look, if you commit to go, you owe us money no matter what.
Hmm.
And that's just to keep that on par and keep everybody in check. And then on occasion, there's people that if they're like short a little bit, I'll front them.
Hmm.
You know, I'll say like, hey, you owe me this money later, or if you know you could come and get here, but you can't fully support a hotel, you know, I might throw a couple of bucks, be like, hey, can you throw in $20 or $50 for the hotel,
Hmm.
and then I'll cover the rest of you. And then
Right.
and there's people that have those situations, and definitely when you feel like, hey, I feel like you have a potential of doing well this year, then you can take steps with people. Um, when it comes to figures, and then you could tell me how you handle this in house. We have what we call like our in house price. It's like
Hmm.
if you're in house, I'll throw you the team member discount. You
Hmm.
know, we'll be nice about it. You know, I'm not You know, you don't abuse it. You're like,
Right.
oh, you want to Chase Oden? He's going for 50. Yo, I'll throw it to you at the for 30. You know, just and I'll pay for the shipping and tracking and all the other stuff, and then we'll be good. Okay. You because you know, like in the long run, you're going to be having that give, take, and borrow in
Right.
between people. And if people are looking to buy something, that's something that they're more likely going to use more consistently versus we're going to a big event and we need to borrow quote unquote X, Y, or Z piece. Then
Hmm.
that's completely different. Because then the team automatically just chips in for that. So like, how do you handle pieces and whatnot?
Well, I mean, most everybody buys their own stuff, but if let's say I have an extra figure, I open because I use about two cases of every Marvel set, just because I'm more of a Marvel fan.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on the DC set whether I buy any cases. A lot of times I just pick and choose and buy singles on the DC stuff, but I'll buy two cases. So let's say I open two of the same super rare, and that super rare goes for like $30. Yeah, and I've got two of them. Yeah, I'm gonna sell it to you for 20. I mean, you're a teammate. Yeah, here you go. You get the discount. You know, and most of our guys on our team are like that. I mean, I really don't know of anyone who hasn't cut anyone a deal. As far as like when we go to big events, yeah, we just kind of, hey, is anybody using their Chase Star Fox? No, or Jeff Farrell will be like, no, I'm not using mine. Okay, I'm gonna borrow it. So stuff like that. But that's just for like big events. But yeah, it's mainly just there's a handful of us, 4 or 5, that buy bulk when sets come out, and kind of everybody knows that's the guy to go to because he's probably going to have the most stuff. Which is usually me and Justin Robinson, maybe a few others, Richard McBain, but. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I mean DJ. I don't think that dude's bought a case or a brick in about 3 years. He just borrows all his stuff from everybody. So I give him hell about it all the time, but yeah, it's DJ. Got
Every
to.
team has that guy.
Hmm.
Every team has that guy. I won't say who ours is. I won't say whose ours is, but
Yeah.
he's a bit well known in the scene.
Oh yeah. I have
But
a feeling I know who it is, but yeah.
he's a bit well known in the scene.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say any names. Anyway, but yeah, I know like for me personally, and everybody on the show's heard it. Like I stop buying blind unless it's for an event, and
Hmm.
just mainly for me, it's just my return on investment hasn't been worth it for years. Like when I had that brief stint of being unemployed, and I was like, yo, I gotta hustle this. How can I maximize my money to play this game? Then I was like, oh, okay, I can't do these certain buying habits I did in the past. Um, I also understand like after a while, I learned from trading. Definitely early on, when I was asking for figures, people were saying like, "What does he do, Edward? What does he really do? Come on now!" And I would always have people wondering and being paranoid: Was I going to make? Are they selling me a future loss? You know,
Hmm.
stuff like that. Uh, but I buy what I need, and I even stopped buying CURs because I realized I wasn't using half that jank. Like there was just so much crap that was just sitting there. I was like, oh, I need to get rid of this,
Yeah.
and it's going to hit the recycling bin, and that's all that's going to happen. On occasion, I will buy figures knowing I'm going to give them out to loan. I haven't had to do that as much with us having more newer members. But that in particular has been something that on occasion I will do. I'll mainly do it if it's in like that super rare like super rares or a cheap chase. I won't do that for like a super expensive chase. You won't see me throwing down, for multiples of Ultra Chase Deadpool or anything like that.
Right.
Easton proved that he can be good. Easton proved it. Anyway, all kidding aside, but yeah, I will front a little bit of like for figures for what's needed, just because I'm a leader. That's sort of my position.
Right.
But I don't do it like just because,
Yeah, and I kind of do the same. Like if it's something like, it's like, I don't really need that fig, or I've already, but it's a good fig. I know it's going to see meta play. I want to get one in the play group. Yeah, let me go ahead and pick that up. Like my Jakeem Thunder, I don't think I've ever played Jakeem Thunder, but I've got one. And I think other people have played my Jakeem Thunder more than, than people have played their own Jakeem Thunder. So
yeah,
but but it was just one of those. It was like, you know what? It's a good fig. It's seeing meta play. I need to go ahead and get one just to have one in the loop, for people to use.
Yeah.
So
I will say this, like with Jakeem Thunder, it was a glorious time when I saw him. And when he first was revealed, I was like, I gotta have this. I've got to play this figure. And then I rode him through so many tournaments. And everybody's like, at first it was like, okay, Jakeem Thunder. Then it was like, oh, Jakeem Thunder. And then it's like, oh, Jakeem Thunder. That's the three phases of Jakeem Thunder. Now everybody's like, oh, Jakeem Thunder. Oh, okay. Like it's like he had all the thunder literally taken out of him. And now he's not even Jakeem Thunder. He's just Jakeem right now. So, yeah, I know that. Now, for me, when WizKids had constructed teams, the first year they had constructed teams, I thought to myself, like, this was going to be the future, and I stocked up on a bunch of stuff. And then when they said, no, this is going to be sealed teams, I sort of breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that I didn't need to have like 3 chases from War of Light on it, to field multiple teams.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh yeah, I'll take this. Woo! I'll take that all day. But yeah, like I think sort of going back with the figures in particular, there are a couple of things that like every group can do. I learned this from Rubicon. You have like the bank of figures, and some teams can do that. You also can negotiate like group buy. A group buy is pretty much everybody puts in money to buy everything at like a slightly cheaper cost. Or if somebody on your team can get it at a really cheap cost, you all just buy all the product from them. And that person, they get the product, and then, you all divvy it up. My only problem with group buy is that everybody has to be adults. Everybody has to be adults. And I can say this, if you do a group buy in an Ultra Chase, this is the dumbest thing ever made by heroclix, is revealed, you have to already designate like who gets it due to amount of work or effort or money put in or whatever. And if there's ID cards, you have to figure that out and not be petty about it.
Right.
I think that's the harder part about group buy, is folks feeling like they got shafted later on. So that's why most people like buy their own stuff and just borrow. And group buy is, you have to figure out your own details.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just figure out your own details. Uh, I think that we have a new element, and I'm willing to hear your input on it. Maps,
Huh.
maps, man. It's the maps are more complex now because
Oh
before
yeah.
it was just go to the events and get some maps, and the extra ones, beg from your judge to get them. And now it's like you have VIG, you have win a map, you have go to the moon and back and get a map. So how are you looking at the map situation in the teams?
Um. Well, as far as like the OP maps, like the ones that comes with the OP kits, what there's usually five, I think, in the kit. Me being the judge, I always get one for myself.
Mm-hmm.
The other four go as prizes. Give them away, and then we just do the same thing with maps. We borrow. It's like, hey, does anybody have this map? Yes. Are you using it? Can I use it? Sure, absolutely. Go ahead. We also have a couple of local comic book stores that get in the OP kits every month, but they don't run HeroClix events. So when he gets the monthly OP kits and stuff in, he just puts them all out. He'll put like a map and two or three of the LEs in a bag and sell it for a set price. So so a lot of our guys go hit up the comic book stores, buy the OP kits from there if they can't make it to the weekly events at the store, and pick them up that way. So as far as the maps go, most of the guys end up having the maps except DJ, and but and then like as far as the like the new rock maps and everything, I mean, so I think one or two of our guys have already signed up for the monthly map thing, so they're just going to go ahead and get their maps in every month. Me personally, I'm kind of looking on a map by map basis. I'm like, because I'm already going to be getting a ton of judge points this year, so a lot of these maps I'm going to be getting back at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really not looking to buy it unless it's something I know, like, hey, I want that map now. I'll go ahead and buy it, but I'm just doing it on as far as just an individual map basis, and there's a couple other guys doing that. The starter kit maps, those, like I said, we're telling people, hey, you want to pre-order that starter because it's going to be good. I mean, those maps are good. You definitely want it, and but most of the guys are, keeping up with the maps pretty well on their own. Yeah, and we let's see what else though. I was the point I was trying to get to, and now I don't remember what it was. Oh well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I look at the map situation as being a little bit more complex than it was before.
Yeah.
And the main reason that I say that is before you just had to wonder when WizKids was going to release something, and that was going to be your core section of maps. Now you have to look at VIG, you have to look at Winamap.
Mm-hmm.
Your Winamap kit and what map you get is determined when your event is run.
Correct.
And so you need to know, like, if you need multiples of that map, are you buying it or are you trying to win it? And functionally, I would say Winamap is more bang for your buck.
For sure.
Just overall.
Yeah.
But it's a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It's a gamble. And so from a team perspective, there's some rock maps I'm like, yeah, this is a little dumb. And taking the underground dungeon out of it. The hedge maze. I've had a lot of fun playing with people locally on the hedge maze.
Yeah, I bought one of those whenever Howard put them on sale for Christmas, and I'm glad I did, because then once I found out Hedge Maze is going to be WizKids legal, I was happy.
Oh yeah, that map is dumb. It's fun, but it's dumb too.
Oh yeah.
In particular, I will say that Tri-Sentinel will
Yes.
punish everybody on that map. He's like, I sidestep. Boom. Now I blow a wall. Boom. Take one penetrating. Ha ha. Now Tri-Sentinel. You know, it's like try sitting on number 2, move up, you know, and destroy all these walls. Ah ha ha ha. You know, it's like Dexter's Lab. And because he flies, he could just determine which ones he destroys and which ones he doesn't.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, haha, that one's destroyed, but not all these. Ha ha ha. You know, so when I look at like the maps situation, the first thing that comes to my mind is, you know, number one, there is a slight incentive to win Rocktober, because if you ever had a tactical design that you felt needed to be in the game, if you win, you affect all of WizKids. Because you now have a chance, probably a good 50-50 chance, of making a map that will change the game. Or at least people will consider it in their selection of maps. Minus how stupid the EarthX Tony Stark's Tower is. But go to my last video about how dumb that is. Go to my last video where I talk about 5-point prob and how that should never exist in the game.
I was just listening to that earlier.
I digress. I rabbit trail myself. But I think it also becomes an issue, like the larger team, a larger team you become, knowing how many maps you have becomes an issue. Because, like, I could say to everybody, get a starter. The EarthX starter is worth it just for the map. Okay? Yes. So that's not so much a problem. But when the dungeon came out, we almost had a revolt in the team over that map. Okay? Because of how few people had it and whose teams benefited from it the most. And who really needed points and all this other stuff. So getting those maps becomes essential. So you want to talk to your venue and say, hey, let's do winner maps. And this is why I would always say is get the venue on your side. Because if you don't win that map and you need it, you can just ask to borrow it from somebody in your venue. The main goal is to get it within your accessible range.
Right.
You know, I know multitude of times where I've borrowed something from another team member, which they borrowed from someone else.
Yeah.
You know, you take more specific care of that situation and those figures, but you know, you keep that in mind. The other thing I think is, like, when it comes to the normal, like, prize maps is, you know, you try to tell your guys to definitely go out like those first few weeks of a new set coming out, because that's when all those maps come out and they're given away. And again, like, hustle and talk to the judge to get those maps, because if you don't, even on sets that you just don't care about, you end up like me, where I end up paying like $25 for that Star Trek map for a month time. And that's something I could have gotten for free, but I was like, I don't want to play Star Trek, I'm going to go and do other things, and that cost me $25. So definitely, you know, keep the map situation, you know, in mind. And even more so, like, for designing teams, if you only have like 5 of a special map and you have 10 guys, everybody can't be thinking about using that map, you know. So I think that's going to be a beginning of an issue as well. So let's sort of go on, because we've had our beginning of the year meeting, and I have meetings like almost every quarter. So how do you do meetings in Juggernaut? Do you like sound the horn and then you get everybody together and then beer and brawling happens, and then after it's all said and done, then you go through the agenda and then more brawling happens?
No. I guess you're referring to the birthday bash video.
Yeah. I said this on the Shots Fired podcast page.
Yes.
And if you're not on there, get on there. It's a really fun podcast group.
Yeah.
But I said, like, Asgardians are pretty much the Team Juggernaut.
Yeah, you said we are the real life incarnation of Asgardians.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's about right. We drink, we brawl, you know, we fly drones into teammates' faces. I mean, You know, that's what happens.
One of the best videos ever. Again, go to that Facebook page because out of nowhere, no, I'm not even going to spoil it. Go watch. You have to go watch the video. So anyway, let's talk about meetings.
We really don't do meetings per se. I mean, we have like our Facebook chat groups on Facebook Messenger, and I mean, if something needs to be brought up, we just, hey, what do you guys think about this? You know, because a lot of our members, I mean, you know, especially some of the older guys like myself, Johnny Ray, Richard McBain, you know, I mean, we all have families and a lot of other, you know, things that take up a lot of our time. So we don't really have time to really just actually go sit down and have face-to-face meetings. So we just do our chats. I mean, it's pretty loose, but we're like, hey, this is an issue that needs to be talked about now. So we, you know, start getting everybody's attention. Like, hey, you need to get on the group and weigh in on this. You know, if there is something that needs to be talked about. You know, when we get together, stuff like that, that's just to have fun. I mean, we have playtest sessions. I mean, you know, there's some groups, you know, 2 or 3 guys will get together over at that guy's house. 2 or 3 guys are getting together over at this guy's house. You know, once or twice a month, people come over here and play test at my place. And, you know, a lot of it just depends. I mean, I like I said, I don't get to play as much anymore. Most of my time is focused on judging, taking care of my son, things like that. But I still play test or still give the guys a venue in which to come play test. And then while they're here, we'll sit down and talk about things, but not everybody's going to be here. And it's just like, we'll throw stuff out. Hey guys, what do y'all think about this? I'm going to bring this up to the group and see what everybody thinks and so on.
Yeah. I know for us, like I said, I have like scheduled semi-annual, I mean, that semi-annual is the wrong word. You know, quarterly meetings and whatnot. Definitely, if we're going into bigger events, I do 10 hut everybody on deck for nationals and worlds.
Right.
Like, yo, right. Like we gotta do this. You know, I will give my epic speeches like all the time. I would go into mad orator mode all the time when it's like, we are one of the best teams. We will cancel the apocalypse. You know, I'll have my Idris Elba meets Martin Luther King moment all the time. All the time. But anyway, I think for the meetings, you try to see when everybody's available. If you're going to set it up, I like the getting on Discord. Because Skype is a bear now. Like, Skype used to be easy. You could get like it was like, what was it? Party phone calls back during your grandma's days. It was like party line. Like, I could, like, back in the day, I could get like 10 people all on Skype, right? And it will work. And now it does not do anything close to that. So you have to use Discord.
Yeah. If
you're just going to have a meeting now, because it just doesn't work otherwise. I think by having it in that format, people can still just do everything else that they're doing. And of course, right. my guys aren't local to me whatsoever. So of course I have to have like all the telecommunications on point. But if you do have some people who are local and some people that aren't, I would still say Discord. Or I don't even know if Ventrilo still exists. Something where you could just voice in and talk that way. I also think like you have to have a general agenda, but it doesn't have to be like, all right, we're going to talk about the money this time, and then we're going to talk about our trip to Connecticut. Then we're going to go down and look at the TPS reports. Like you don't. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be that detailed.
Right.
You need to know in general like what you have to talk about.
Yeah.
And then I usually just field questions or just ask if anything else anyone needs to talk about or concerns that need to be brought up. And usually that'll happen.
I mean, and I can see, especially with your team, because your team is spread out throughout the United States. So being able to, because since you guys don't talk like necessarily on a regular basis, a lot of our guys, we see each other, 2, 3 times a week. So we're constantly talking. We're constantly bringing up issues. If there is an issue between 2 or 3 guys, they're like, "Hey, we just this came up. We want your thoughts." One of them will just message me and be like, "Hey, Jamie, we need to weigh in. We need you to weigh in on this. What do you think about this and this and this?" And I'll throw in my 2 cents. But like I said, the majority of our team is local. I mean, we've only got 3 members, I think, that are not in Central Arkansas,
Yeah.
which is James Manus out of Tulsa, Brad Milburn, and Lindy Farrell out of Georgia. Those are our only 3 members that aren't, but they're always on the Facebook chat group that we have, the messenger chat, weighing in and so on and so forth. So like I said, with the out of town members I could completely understand. Hey, we need to all get together on this and chat. Whereas, every Saturday for Saturday heroclix, we're all sitting there. We're like, hey, we're all face to face anyway. Let's sit here and talk about, hey, what are we going to do about this? Hey, we're going to Gen Con in August. Hey, who all's going?
Yeah.
So.
And I think like for us, Discord serves as like the equivalent meeting ground.
Right.
Where like most nights I will be chilling on Discord because I'm playing League of Legends. or recording or recording starting over podcast.
There you go.
But because of that, I'll sit there and I'll talk with various people, and I'll also play test. I always tell, everybody knows, like, you don't have an excuse by saying, I didn't have a chance to play test it. Because you and everybody else on the team knows that you could have just told me you needed to play test, and I would have play tested with you.
Right.
So if you ever hear somebody on Phoenix Nest is like, we never got a chance to play test with Edward, I'm like, nope, you just didn't schedule it. So, anyway, so I come back and I look at like the different interactions, definitely considering like if you're having a more local team or more spread out team, that decides like what you mainly need to focus on. So let's sort of talk about events. How do you determine what's a good event to go to for your team?
Distance.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's really a big part of it is distance and availability. I mean, because not everybody's going to be available at all times to travel. And the other thing is like, is this a trip we can make it go there and back? Like Tulsa, we can go to Tulsa, play clicks, and drive back in the same day. In less than 24 hours. So that's an easy one for us. Whereas, and even Dallas to that. Dallas is only like a 5-hour drive for us. So that's not that bad either. We could do up there and back in the same day if we wanted to, but we've got so many friends in Dallas because we've gotten really close with the Clicksmen. So a lot of those guys, like Mike Eskew, Jake Cockrell, those guys, they'll be like, hey, just come crash on my couch, and that saves us money for a hotel right there. So that makes it easy. It's like, hey, we can go to Dallas because we don't have to pay for a hotel. Mike has graciously put us up at his house, or Jake Cockrell's going to let us crash on his couch, whatever. That's a big part of it right there too. Whereas if we're going somewhere a little bit further, and even so much as far as for us, and that's one thing I will say this about Arkansas, it's a very good centrally located area as far as traveling, because you've got Dallas. There's some events in like southern Missouri, Tennessee, even Huntsville. Huntsville's only a 6-hour drive for us. So even Howard Shop is not that bad of a drive. I mean, granted, that's probably more of at least a one night, we're going to drive down on a Friday, play Saturday, and then drive home after the event. But but even still, a lot of it is just like I said, location and availability. Is this person available to travel to that event? Because we got a lot of extra things going on. I've got my son. Can I have a babysitter for the weekend? Because my wife works on weekends, so usually I'm the babysitter on the weekends. But is my mom available to come watch him? DJ? Does DJ, as everyone knows, DJ wrestles? Does DJ have a wrestling event that weekend? Um, Here a couple weeks ago, I think Jeff Farrow and Vincent Blankenship, they went to Dallas and played, but nobody else was available to go. But they had made plans. They went and made the top two. So, hey,
Yeah.
good on them.
Also, shout out to Jeff Farrow for winning an event. Grats to you, sir.
You were due one, Jeff. You were due,
Yeah.
sir.
For folks to be like, why you keep bringing up Jeff Farrow? Like, literally, like, for the last 6 months, I've encountered Jeff Farrow. He's done something for me that's allowed me to do better in the future. So when I say, like, everybody that craps on you is not your enemy, Jeff Farrow is definitely that guy. So with the Tulsa regional, he beat me in the first time we played, and it's like, yeah, you just need to get a little more aggressive, and then you're good. And then I got more aggressive, and I won. Then we go to October, and we have team seal, and he played his team, and he completely demolished me. And then I go into Worlds, and I'm like, that's pretty much Jeff Farrow's team plus a TK, which is what I needed. I'm playing that. I'm playing that.
Exactly.
And I got paid. So thank you, Jeff Farrow. Thank you, Jeff Farrow. You have benefited me in more ways than I care to admit. So, yeah, let's sort of wrap it up. let's wrap it up. I usually say our events. I look at it like this. I balance everybody's qualifications.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am on top of that. I'm like, what do you need to do? Like, whenever WizKids Opens comes out, like, I sit there and I look at the map like I'm a strategist playing Risk. I'm like, we need to conquer these zones here, here, and here. I need to send a man over there, secure that area.
Yeah.
And send a person over there. I shall conquer over here, and we all shall win. Like, that's how I look at WKOs, because I have to.
Right.
Because my goal is to be like, I got to get as many people into nationals and worlds as possible.
Right.
And it makes my mindset a little bit more aggressive when I'm like, you lost, who did you lose to? Like, in certain areas in particular, I know there isn't competition. Like, if someone told me, and they showed me a map of the United States, and they were like, where are the most hardest places to play in heroclix? I could, like, zone it out for you. If someone told me, like, where are the the easiest places to play in heroclix, I could zone it out for you.
Right.
And if I send a guy into the easier zones and he doesn't come back with a W, you better tell me that Patrick Yapoko came down to your place. That's the only way that I'm going to let you go on this.
That's kind of how we were with DJ when he went down to play in Louisiana States last year. We're like, why did you lose? It was Louisiana. No one plays in Louisiana. He goes, Lane Miller showed up. I'm like, oh, never mind. Right. Like, I can understand,
Right. So to me, like, if you go in and you're on my team and you're like, hey, it seems a little strict. You're telling me to go to all these things. It's like, it's for your success later on.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand that. They'll be like, Dark Logos is a tyrant. No wonder people leave Phoenix Nest. He's a tyrant. And it's like, no, I'm here to make you win. That means I have to apply pressure. So, anyway, so that's how I look at it. Like, the rock schedule stuff is a little bit, I hate to say, meh. Like it's just mainly states and your Winamaps now. Like you could go to SQs, but I don't think SQs matter as much. And I and with the points not being transferable, which I think is good. Don't if anybody's listening, don't think they're going to be like, oh, you're going, oh, you know, Phoenix Nest transferring points. You know, no, it's transferring points. Not being able to transfer points now is good. Because,
I agree.
Yeah, because it makes it so that if you get to the big events, you don't just look at the next guy. It's like, oh yeah, you clearly bought your way in, and everybody that you play through preliminaries that's good is just going to get a free win off of you, completely throwing the bracket.
Right.
You know,
Basically, now it's like if you're there, it's because you deserve to be there.
you deserve to be
won
there.
your way in. Right.
Yeah. So that to me is a big step where I look at Rock. And so when it comes time to getting, you know, points, if someone says to me like, I'm going to Rocktober, I would tell you, good luck, homie. Let's get you those points. Where are you at? If someone's saying like, I'm going to Nationals, I'm like, all right, let's get you these points. If you know you're going to Worlds, how well did you do at Nationals? Okay, let's get you these points, because at least that way it's sort of in front of you and knowing, you know, as a goal what you need to do, and then you also don't waste a lot of people's time. I know for certain, like I could send some people to Rocktober, and that's not so much a big deal, and I can send people to US Nats, and that's a whole different story. Like it's almost impossible for them. Whereas the timing for Worlds, it works out for them.
Right.
Yeah, I know for myself this year, I'm gonna do my best to go to US Nats, and then I'm gonna do my best to go to Worlds. I don't think I'll be able to go to Rocktober. With stuff that's coming out, I haven't made the announcement yet, but I will here soon. But with stuff that's going on with my life, I don't think I'd be able to swing Worlds in Rocktober.
Right.
And if I had to pick between the two, I'm gonna pick Worlds because I can guarantee get paid.
Right.
So, but yeah, so that's is there anything else you want to bring up? I forgot.
No,
Recruiting.
not that I can think of. I mean, one thing I will say, you know, and this is something that's kind of, you know, we've kind of done with our team. When a new guy comes in, they kind of tend to flock toward one guy. And it, like, for me, when Tim Hickey got in the game, he was kind of like my Padawan. And Vincent Blankenship is our, you know, one of our newer guys and everything. Jeff Farrow is kind of, you know, he's the Padawan to Jeff Farrow's Jedi Master, you know. So and Vince is getting good, man. He's real good. He, like I said, he just came in second. He only started playing again right before states. So this guy's already, you know, he's you know, winning the big events, and or at least making, like I said, the top cut at just about every event he plays in. So he's really somebody to watch out for. You know, we've got a lot of guys: Justin Robinson, Vincent Blankenship, Jeff Farrow, DJ. Team Juggernaut's coming, man. We've got some good guys, and just be ready.
Yeah, I will say, like, real quickly, because I just thought about recruiting. I follow two core rules. And I think that sort of separates me from most people. Is are they going to get us? Is this person being on my team going to lead toward a title? Like that's number one, and number two is, do they fit in my culture?
Right.
So I know, like with Clicksman, and having talked with Mike multiple times, it's like go in, have fun, and make sure that they click, you know, in your culture, and then eventually you'll get good. For me, I'm like, are you have the potential to get good, son? All right, here's these materials. You need to study up on this. Where are you going? My main goal is to get you some W's. Like you're going to get some WKO wins, and when that doesn't make you full anymore, we're going to go up to SQs. And then when SQs don't feel you, we gonna get to regionals, and when regionals don't feel you, we go into nationals and worlds. Then we
Right.
ready to go. You know, uh, that's the
And
mindset I have with all my guys.
yes. And like I said, same mindset. It's like I've told people all the time. The key to getting good at this game is play against high level players over and over and over again. You're gonna lose a lot at first. That's okay. You will get better. You're gonna start learning mistakes. You're gonna start, seeing things that these other guys are doing that, hey, I didn't know you could do that. That's pretty cool. And you're going to start developing those things into your repertoire. And eventually you yourself are going to start racking in those W's. So
Yeah,
it'll happen. You just got, like I said, the key is, you know, get with one of the best players on your team, play that person repeatedly, and lose to them repeatedly. But you will learn. You will get better.
oh yeah,
Then start going to these big events, playing, getting better. I mean, that's the key is playing. The key is just playing. Really, that's it.
yeah. And I would definitely tell anybody, like, if you're starting from scratch, don't think about being on a team. Don't think about making a team. Just learn
Hmm.
how to get good.
Yes. Yes.
Go to the Rock Discord and play Roll20.
Right.
Like, go get good. If you
Right.
feel like you rather join a team than start a team, scout out all the teams. See if I was about to say see if they're hiring. See if they're recruiting. See if their culture fits what
Yes.
you're trying to do.
Yes.
Because again, not everybody wants to do what we're talking about. But if you were in an area where you're like, look, I feel like our area needs to be represented, or I feel like I have the leadership skills to do it, just
Hmm.
take this video and listen to it, because we're pretty much telling you the basics of what you need to do currently
Hmm.
to be good at making a team. You can go and look at some of my older videos; those will give you some insights. And I will say, if it wasn't for Dre from Rubicon, I wouldn't be where I'm at in terms of organizing Phoenix Nest. There are tons of people that you can talk to. You can always email me and be like, "Hey, Dark Logos, I'm starting my team.
Hmm.
Any pointers? Like, these are the problems I have." Like, all the big, I hate to say it, guild leaders in heroclix will help you,
Hmm.
and they will talk to you about problems that they're having, or problems that they've seen other teams have, or things that they see are issues. So wherever, if you want to be a player and put on that jersey for that team, or start your own franchise, figure that out. But I
Hmm.
think, and I've said this multiple times, teams are the future of heroclix, and they,
Yes.
they are also the now of heroclix.
Yes.
Uh, because if you look at the finals of worlds this year, two people that are on teams, Easton's on Lucky Dice, and the Tyler is on Clickstuff.
Hmm.
And if you go down to top four, uh, what was it? It was Lane on Clickstuff,
Hmm.
and was it Mike?
I
Mike
think
is from 4 Points.
yes. Matt
Matt,
Esbro.
Matt, Matt,
Yeah, Matt Esbro.
Matt Esperett.
Hmm.
Yeah, from 4 Points. So you,
And look at top 16. There were 4 uncanny clicksmen in the top
yeah,
16.
yeah. A lot of people, and this is just mainly my personal beef. I hate it when folks be like, Kenny Clicksman, they're not a good team. And I'm like, no, they're a very strong team. You're
Yeah.
taking advantage of thinking, their niceness is weakness.
Right.
Like, they're not punks.
No.
Like, they're not punks when it comes to the game. And I think some folks will underestimate the lot of them not having faced them
Hmm.
enough.
Oh
But
yeah.
they're definitely a top five team.
Oh, for sure.
They're
For
definitely a
sure.
top five team. So anyway, that's pretty much for today's show. I'd like to thank Jamie for coming on.
Yes, sir.
You got your shout outs for your team and your shows and stuff.
Yeah, shout out to Team Juggernaut, Jeff Farrell, DJ Riggin, Justin Robinson, Vincent Blankenship, all you guys, appreciate everything you guys do for the team, keep racking up those W's. The podcast, you can listen to us on SoundCloud.
Shots
We
fired.
are Shots Fired Podcast, yeah, and we're on Facebook. Just type in Shots Fired HeroClix Podcast. You should be able to find us. Go to our discussion page. A lot of funny stuff. We tend to be a little more, on the comedic side of things, and we say some swear words here and there. Sorry if I said a swear word on your show or two, Edward. I'm not. I can't really remember. I tried to keep it clean if I could. But that's it. Yeah, kind of like we said, like Ed said, teams are the future. There are the lone wolves these days are very few and far between. I mean, I know there's your Adam Friedmans and George Massus that really aren't part of a team, but I mean, these guys are already, top tier players. And they've proven they can do it without a team, but though they're the exception to the rule,
Yeah.
your average player is not.
Yeah.
So, the best thing you can do is get with a team, because just the being the access to other figures that you may not have, the ability to play test with those guys, to theory craft, to and whatnot. That's really, it's invaluable these days in this game.
Yeah. All right. So, like normal, you can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space and told me that the mind logic symbiotes of Planet 35 Nebulon 8, they really do not like probability control. They play HeroClix all the time. They just don't like probability control. All right. So you can, like always, follow me on Twitter because, YouTube hates YouTubers. So hitting that subscribe button really don't mean much. Neither does that bell. Because I'm one of the little guys. And YouTube don't care about me. So you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to opine, keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. Let me know what you think about this episode. Let me know if you're inspired to make a team or try to join a team. And if you want to donate to the show, you can go to the graveyard of my former writing, startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. On there is a donate button. Everything goes to making the show better. I do have a functional webcam now. I will be using it once I get it fully calibrated and it stops acting weird, and using the internal mic, because the internal mic is horrible. So yeah. So yay! I will have that whenever I can get it back working again and not having a crazy glare. So yeah. All right. Again, I like to thank King Siderak, Jamie Jordan, the Beard.
Thank you.
Coming on the show again. And like always, we all have to start over sometime.